everybody, and welcome back to You. We're excited to have you with us. I'm Catherine Tappan with Darren Pang and Craig Conley and Niner. Good to see you, buddy. You look like you got some light on your face there. You finally got a light to light up for the podcast.
I'm finally in a 5-star hotel. Good to see you too, KT and Panger.
Yeah, great to see you, Niner and KT, and I'm really looking forward to our next guest. Chris Chelios is an iconic figure, personality, so many friends in so many different walks of life, and being between the benches for the game that he was that his sweater went up to the rafters, and sitting through it, and then being with everybody afterwards was just incredible. So I can't wait to have Chelly here on the show today.
Can't wait. Hockey Hall of Famer Chris Chelios joining us momentarily. Big exciting news for us here on Back to You. We are now on Believe Network. That's BLEAV. Really excited to be on that platform. We are also now available on all of audio platforms, so you can rate us, review us. We're really grateful for the partnership with Believe. We also have to thank our sponsors, Johnnie-O's and MIURA, and a big announcement coming after the interview with Chris Chelios. Wait for it. Johnnie-O's has a huge announcement that I have a little bit of a part of in sharing with you guys. So more on that, a little teaser for you, but hey, let's get right to it because this man has been in high demand all week, and Chris Chelios was so gracious to give us some time today, and it's a great interview. So enjoy it, guys.
Well, gang, on this show, we like to showcase an event or a story which caught our attention as relates to an achievement featuring hard work and dedication of one's craft. That's exactly what Back to You is all about. This is powered by MIURA Golf. And when you think of MIURA Golf, you think of Katsuhiro Miura, the founder of MIURA Golf, and he's mastered the art of steel. Every forged club is handcrafted at the factory in Himeji, Japan, where Miura's meticulous process and attention to detail highlight the family's unwavering pursuit of perfection. And if that isn't Back to You, I don't know what is.
Chelly, great to see you. It's been a heck of a whirlwind of a week for you. So we appreciate you taking the time with us. Not only number 7 going to the rafters in Chicago, but congratulations. Another grandchild for you, little baby Sophia, just coming moments after the retirement ceremony. So I'm glad that Kaylee and her family got to enjoy that moment with you, and then enjoy another moments later, it seemed like. But can you just talk about what this week has been like for you, and have you come down from the high yet, I guess?
Yeah, no question. I compare it to what happens when you win the Stanley Cup and you're going, every night until finally you hit the wall. So the same thing happened here. I thought I'd get some rest, when Kaylee had to go to the hospital and deliver the baby, but then I end up sleeping with the 3-year-old. And I don't know how many 3-year-olds you slept with, but it's not fun between the cough and the burping and trying to get all over you. And then finally waking up with her feet in my face. But no, it was, without doubt, one of the greatest, moments for my family and friends and the people in Chicago, the whole Kane, Cindy Crawford scoring from center ice. It was absolutely amazing.
It was a script that you couldn't have written, Chelly. I mean, it couldn't have come off any better. Even when you had the microphone in your hand, you're addressing 20,000 fans and a large TV audience. And all you said to Kaner was, basically don't ruin my show. And he does that even. I mean,
yeah, it wouldn't happen on my watch. I tell you that. I would have been shadowing him in the 3-on-3 just to get it to the shootout. But anyway, like I said, I couldn't have been happier for him with his return and everything he did with Chicago. I mean, you remember when I came back, Panger, they honored me. I got booed out of the rink, and my first game back, same thing. So that was kind of tough. But what Kaner did for the Blackhawks and the 3 Stanley Cups, all the individual trophies and all that. It was incredible. I was so happy for him.
Do you think, Chelly, that he was wondering or worried, and you yourself, were you concerned with the reaction at all? You look like you had this emotional look on your face when they gave you a roaring standing ovation.
Yeah, I mean, statute of limitations, right? It's been long enough, and I was gone for 20-something years. And quite honestly, I don't think the Blackhawks, since I've returned, have ever put me on the big screen during a game unless I was with Bobby Hull or Stan Mikita, because they were probably afraid of the reaction the crowd might give. But yeah, when they start chanting my name, I said, okay, all's forgiven. I'm back home, and I'm welcome back home. And it was an amazing feeling.
Chelly, did
Whose
you know
idea was it?
the list of people that they were bringing back to honor you, your friends? I mean, Randy Gerber and Cindy Crawford, and not to mention the Hall of Fame NHLers that were in attendance. Lots of superstars. Dennis Rodman came back. I mean, did you know that all those people were going to be there to support you?
Catherine, I worked right alongside with this girl that grew up in my neighborhood on the south side, and I met my match and she met her. So we went head to head, but that was all me. That list was all me. So I just went from, kindergarten, 8th grade, then I went to the junior high, then I went to high school, and then continued, college, junior, and path.
Wow.
And then obviously, from when I turned pro and started meeting, those people like Johnny Mac and Randy and Cindy, Eddie I'd met in 95 when I came to the Hawks and through Dennis Rodman. So the only guy, I didn't get was MJ, and I understand why MJ couldn't come. It was just too much. Plus, he would have been a distraction. So, but it was great. Like I said, I looked around, and at one point, in the atrium, I made it a point, to try and get with every group and at least say hi and take a picture with them. And like I said, that part was probably the most, for me, rewarding part, is to see all my friends and family having such a great time.
And I would have to think there's a shout out to Mary DeBartolo as well. I saw her with you many times, huh? Boy, just she and for everybody here in our audience, she's with the Blackhawks and she's just got a heart of gold and seems to be able to handle stress and things the right way for you too, and Chelly, and for a lot of other people as well. Yeah,
like I said, you wouldn't believe behind closed doors what was said to each other. But again, you couldn't offend each other. Like the neighborhood we grew up in, she's dating a fireman. She comes from a neighborhood of policemen, and a real tough blue collar neighborhood like Evergreen Park and Beverly are side by side. So again, there was times when she would ghost me and I'm like, you better not quit on me now. And then there was times when I quit on her and she'd give me the same line. So the chemistry was good between us, and it worked out. Like I said, she learned to say no to me, but I knew no doesn't mean no. So I got in so many people in the back door after that. That party was unreal.
I was going to throw this out here, Niner, before you jump in here. Did you go to one of those side doors and slide in your Carmel High School team?
What I did was I get a text and they tell me they're all waiting at gate 6. So I'd go there and just tell a security guard, let them in. So just, first hour, I kept an eye on my phone, made sure everybody was in. And then between my brother, my daughter, Tara, and a couple other people, they would just come get me and grab me and say, hey, they're stuck at gate 6 or gate 7, wherever. So it worked out good. They weren't stuck very long.
Great stuff, Chelly.
Chelly, I'm going to pump your tires a little bit here. So the day of your event, I just wanted to shoot you a quick text congratulating you. I didn't think that, you'd have time to get back to me, but the type of person that you are, you responded right away to my text. And it's not a shock to see all these people and the way that they gravitate towards you, all the friends that you've gotten along the way, and just kudos to you and the person that you are.
Thank you. Well, you're one of the lucky ones because I still have about 57 texts, and I've had 4 people look at my phone to see how I can find them. And for some, so I tried my best. Obviously, I quit halfway through the night and on Sunday night trying to keep up. But I inherited that from my dad, like bringing people together, like love social events and stuff like that. But then, being captain of a team, not that I needed to be the captain, I always enjoyed, leading the charge, whether it was on and off the ice.
Yeah. And you know what? It's not a shock. You mentioned that you're the captain and what you did for all those teams that you played on. Me being a Detroit fan, getting to know you, after your playing career, helping with some appearances and things like that. Just a first-class act. And what's next in your stage now that you've had a whirlwind week? Now, what are you working on next?
I mean, I don't know, quite honestly. Like being a grandpa, I'm pretty comfortable being a grandpa, but I get, I'm not great at sitting down, so I run them pretty good. But, I always wanted to coach. I just kind of missed that window because I played too long. And then once I did retire, my kids were all playing Division I and the boys turned pro. So I kind of got spoiled and loved watching them play. And then, Detroit, I was lucky. They let me, home games only. So that was great going on the ice with the guys and not having to travel. World Juniors was amazing with Tony Granato. I coached the Olympic team. Short stints like that. I would still like to dabble in coaching, quite honestly, because it's something I really do love, and especially just running the defenseman. I can make skate through a wall if I felt like, if they listen to me, and it's great. There she is. There's my granddaughter sneaking in the room. But
nice. Get her in there.
Bella, come here. Let's see. Say hi to the.
You can coach them. You can coach your grandkids. There you go.
You have Bella here?
No.
Yeah, we're gonna turn her into a little player someday. You like skating, right, Bella? Yeah. So
is she going to be the next Cammy Granado?
I don't know. I hope so. We'll see. But she's
Bella's a new big sister once again, right?
Yeah. What's your little sister's name? Sophia.
Yeah.
Oh, good work.
Nice Greek Italian name. Yeah.
Yes. I love that. What when you were talking so much about, running the defenseman, if you would be a coach, like, what do you think is so, how would you describe the game now and the way defensemen play compared to, when you played it and the biggest difference? Because if you're going to be grinding them and you're going to be coaching them, there's got to be a different style, right, than when you played?
Yeah, I mean, like me, I had to adapt to the new rules, and it's just and the way the game's played, the speed, and it sure doesn't benefit the defenseman. There's no question, but I think that for the most part, I what I learned from coaching and what I learned from Jacques Lemaire, he kept things so simple. He didn't overanalyze, and I think that would be my strongest attribute, would be to not let the guys play, let them be themselves, but when they're struggling, that's when I think I'd come in and then just be able to, teach them, not short memories, probably the most important thing. You make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, but how you rebound off them and just give them confidence. So I'm pretty good at reading guys at what they're good at, what they're not. And like I said, I guess I don't want to toot my own horn, but after what I've accomplished, you kind of have to listen. And I'm using, Paul Coffey as an example. Yep. Probably a breath of fresh air when it comes to coaches, because he doesn't overanalyze things. He's strict and he's stern, but at the same token, he wants the guys to enjoy it and have fun. So you want to make it fun, but you only have fun if you win. So I hope, like I said, I hope at some point I get in a situation where I'm able to help, and it'd be great.
And thinking about what Koff's done, Chelly, we talked about this a little last night, but like these, you've got the iPads. You're looking at the iPads. You go to the bench. Is it right? Did you mention this last night? He's somewhat eliminated that during play, at least, and only utilizing that maybe during a commercial or maybe during between periods.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, like I said, it's a new generation, and those kids, they're used to being on computers, and they're, I'd be hitting buttons for 30 seconds or 45 seconds, and I would miss most of the game, but they, they're on it. So it's not natural for me and you, Panger, at our age, but I was a strong believer in video, and I was one of the only guys in Montreal when I started. When I struggled or I had a bad shift, I had the guy mark it in the video room there in Montreal, and that's how I learned. When I did struggle and how to correct it. So I think the kids, they get it. It just depends on each kid. Some kids aren't built for that. Other kids are.
But are we maybe missing the analysis from the bench, Chelly, where like maybe some kids are looking at that iPad and something's just happened on the ice and they're not aware of? Is that a part of the game that might be missing? Or are we afraid as older players that might be gone from the game?
Well, definitely for me, like I said, it'd be a distraction, because when I was on the bench, I was watching the play the whole time. Exactly. Not once did I take my eye off the play. Just, watching what the other guys were doing, on the other team and their, what their tendencies were. And like the other night, last night, I should say, when someone slashed Bedard, if I was on the bench watching that, I think it was Manson's kid, 4-0. Like I get up and tell the whole bench, let's get him. That's it. So maybe someone wasn't paying attention. I don't know, why anybody didn't go after him. That's, quite honestly, I don't want to, dump all over the Blackhawks, but at a 4-0 game, Colorado playing a team that's not in the playoffs, that's kind of an unwritten rule. You don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to, like just not observing what's happening during the course of a game. Somebody gets hit, somebody happens behind the play. Who's the player? What's the number? Like all the important things that I think are still there in the game. But certainly the players that watch the game, like you would watch the game from the bench. Hopefully that's not something that's going to go by the wayside.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one to miss. He was actually going towards the bench when he was coming back to back check, And when he slashed him, he immediately dropped his glove and went, and grabbed his wrist. So, someone had to see it.
Yeah, I think I was having one of your tequilas at that point after the game, Charlie.
I might have to go down to the room tomorrow before the game and have a little say. Yeah.
Good transition, Penger. I was going to ask something else, but we do want to talk to you about this tequila company. And
thank you.
Yeah, give us an idea first. Tell our listeners what it is, but also how did you get involved in this, and why would you want to get involved in this with all the other stuff you have going on?
Catherine, it was another one of those late night decisions. I don't know if it's a good
decision late night. Always a good one.
Well, I'm sure you've been there, but I'm sitting in Tavern on Rush in Chicago.
Yep.
And
I think I was there with you probably at some point.
Yeah, that's right. We did a little Chicago weekend with the Cubs and that stuff.
Yep.
But we were, a group of us were sitting there. And we should do our own. And I said, that'd be cool. And he said, well, what would you call it? I said, well, El Bandito Tequila, after that movie, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. So I didn't know he took me serious. 3-4 weeks. Then I find out he's been in Guadalajara. He's bringing samples back. And all of a sudden he's offering me ownership papers. And I'm going, well, he's a good guy. Let's try this. It's probably not the best idea at my age to get into the tequila business, but it's been a great adventure. 2 years. There's no healthy drinking, right? Let's not kid ourselves, but it's done with moderation. It's additive free. It really is. And then the thing about tequila is you're allowed to advertise or promote it as 100% agave, but you're allowed to put 1% of anything you want in it. So it's a little misleading. Ours is as clean as it gets. So that's the one thing I'm proud about it. And, it's really good. Kind of tequila's passed up vodka now as a spirit, one of the leading drinks. And like I said, you go to fun places. I thought it was going to be easier than owning a bar, but it's not, because you travel so much more to promote it and liquor stores and all these pourings and events. So, but it's been great. And I've kind of slowed down on that a little bit from the traveling. But like I said, it's available about 17 states. And if you are in that state and they don't have it, you just have to ask who the distributor is, whether it's at your liquor store or a bar, and it's pretty easy to order it.
Did you ask any advice along the way from your pals who own Casamigos?
Yep, and quite honestly, that's, it wasn't my idea, obviously, to do it, but I was actually basically working for Randy, wasn't getting paid, but I was enjoying all the perks, going to his house in Cabo and traveling with him and the parties. And I saw that, from the numbers to the way he marketed it, and, him and Clooney, it doesn't hurt when you got George Clooney and Cindy Crawford, doing commercials for you.
Yeah, that's true.
But and then when I told my partner everything we should do, he didn't listen to one word I said, but it's all his money.
I was looking at, because I just came back from St. Louis, Chelly, and I was just telling Niner and KT this a little bit ago that I emptied out my liquor cart, and my job was to bring all the alcohol back here to Chicago. And so I got a bottle of bourbon from Chris Pronger. I think it's called 44. A bottle of bourbon from Marty Brodeur. I think the NHL alumni has done that with like Cornway and Dave Keon and a number of guys. Eddie Belfour's bourbon, which is
Belfour bourbon,
which is very good. Hully's Codigo, and I think that was it. And then you and I talking about your El Bandito. So it's it seems to be a match made in heaven.
Panger's going to get hammered tonight with all this food he's got.
Poor Lynn. I feel sorry for her.
Yeah, I was with Panger last night for a little bit. He's sitting in the corner of some booth by himself. That's kind of sad, Panger.
Well, I went in there to watch a couple of different games, left the game, and I sent you. You were at the table with Reed Simpson. I sent you a text, and funniest thing was you looking around that bar trying to figure out where I was.
Yeah, that was good.
How's the Chelios chili going?
You know what? It's making a little bit of a rebound here after all the attention, and the Blackhawks, built that pop-up bar of the chili bar in the East Atrium. So we've had it all along. And, every once in a while I think to myself, this would be a lot better and healthier for me to get back in the chili business as opposed to the tequila business. But it's good. That Vienna hot dog company, the owners, the CEO, Tim O'Brien, they've been unbelievable. If you guys you're having a party and you need 100 hot dogs, boom. They just overnight them to wherever I am in the U.S. So It's great chili. It really is great chili. I could blow Hormel's off the map. I should make a comeback because there are no household names for chili, quite honestly. And it is a really good quality chili.
I totally agree with you. You guys brought some up to the, we were promoting it, and you brought some up to the booth here on, with the NBC Sports Chicago that I was up there. And Chelly, I'm not a chili guy. And I sucked that back like there was no tomorrow.
Yeah.
Delicious.
No, it's crazy. Like kids, like even young kids, like 4 or 5 year old kids, they love that hamburger, the ground beef we use in it. So, I mean, I've talked to my tequila partner. You got a lot of money. You might want to get into this. It might be, a better venture for it.
Might not be a bad idea, Chelly. We might have to get that bar up and running again. I know a guy I know a guy now that he's back in town can visit it all the time.
Yeah. I'd rather partner up with that guy maybe that place we were at last night. It's actually pretty close to my bar, right by the United Center. That's a good setup they have there.
Yeah, it's called The Barn. It's an original 6 hockey bar, really well set up. If you're in the Chicago area, it's right off Ogden, real close to the United Center. And really good spot. And it's also got, you see over my shoulder, Chelly, I've always got my golf clubs with me, but it's also got, because MIURA are great sponsors here of our show, along with Johnnie-O's. But it's got 2 simulators there as well.
Yeah.
So if you're in the Chicago area and you want to bring your clubs, get to the back private area, and the boys will take care of you over there. Yeah, it's a good spot, Chelly.
Yeah, I'm a little upset with them, though, because when I ordered the chili or asked them if they had the chili, they said no. Then she came back about 3 minutes later and said it was frozen. So I said, what good's that? But yeah.
That's not good. That's not good when the guy whose name is on it can't get his own bowl of chili. Is Chicago where you're spending most of your time now? Is that, really where you're considering home base these days?
Yeah. I mean, obviously everybody knows I've been out in Malibu for about 30 years, 32 years, but I work, regular season. I try to make all the home games, just live in a little 2-bedroom apartment downtown, but it's close to Wrigley. It's close to Guaranteed Rate, White Sox Fields. It's right by Soldiers Field. It's right in the middle of everything. And I love living downtown. It's got everything, restaurants, museums, like you can't beat it. And the summers are amazing. So Malibu is just kind of a thing just to get a break in the winters. And then, but I spend my summers all in Chicago. It's great.
And for those that did not see the ceremony, which I don't think anybody didn't see it, Chelly. I mean, if everybody's still talking about it.
I didn't see it,
how well, it was great, and you were great too. But the 1962 Cadillacs, it's a Seville, right?
No, Eldorado.
Eldorado, my mistake. Eldorado. And that's real. I mean, if you're in Chicago and you see this 1962 black Cadillac humming around, it's Chelly. I mean, do you drive anything else? Because that's all I've seen you in.
No. I got my regular truck, an F-150 that I, pile everything into. But, during the speech, I had my first index card. And when I flipped it, the next 2 were stuck on it.
So no.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Yeah. And it didn't really affect because the third or whatever, the fourth card kind of, it was with the first, but the Cadillac story was a great story because I bought that off of Brett Hull in 2002. And I knew when I saw Hully driving in the parking lot, and if the minute the thing breaks down, I'm going to be able to buy that car. So I did. It broke down. Hully sold it to me, and I've had it ever since. But the story really goes to where my parents, when I was 7, bought a 68 Cadillac. And we had that Cadillac till I was 15 years old. And that Cadillac went everywhere, including Australia. My dad and mom loved it so much. So my dad decided he's going to move to Australia. He drove it from Chicago to San Francisco. We put it on a boat. We all went to Australia, 21 days on a boat. Crazy bonehead idea of his. He was going to feed the Vietnam troops, the U.S. troops, of dairy and meat, and he was going to buy a farm in Australia. Well, we got there, and a month later, the war ended. So my mom was absolutely pissed. She just flew us all home, the kids. My dad was in, Australia for 2 months trying to get everything back on the boat and ship everything back. And then what happened about a month later, me and my mom were driving to hockey, and the Cadillac, she didn't know you were supposed to put oil in cars, go figure, and blew the engine. That was the last we ever seen that Cadillac.
Oh, no.
No.
Yeah.
I'm sure Dad wasn't happy about that.
No, but once I made pro, I kept buying him Cadillacs the rest of his life, so he was okay.
Well, while we're on the subject of not automobiles, but I guess some kind of way of transportation. That story is it 1979 when Gus went to San Diego and went and changed the restaurant business from here to there, and you didn't make the San Diego college team, university team, independent university team. I can't really collect those thoughts, but
yeah.
Then and you didn't make that, but they recommended you go to Moose Jaw. You didn't have a plane ticket. So you can confirm this story that you did sell that motorbike for whatever it was to buy a plane ticket.
Once the coach agreed to pay for my plane ticket, I sold everything with the mindset that I'm not coming back. So I sold a motorcycle. I sold anything I could, bicycles. I was selling old sticks, everything I could, because we had no money at the time. Our family was broke. So I just did whatever I could. And fortunately, things worked out in Moose Jaw and ended up not only playing for the team for 2 years, but I had jobs too at like lumber yards and breaking cement, sidewalks and shoveling coal out of boxcars because I was so used to working. I was probably the richest junior player that wasn't signed to an NHL contract at the time.
Because you were an independent contractor on the side because you got great work ethic.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But it was just, that United States International University team. Yes. I don't know if I told you this, Panger, but when I tried out the year before in Canada and got cut from about 4 teams, then ended up back in San Diego. And that's why I decided, I'm just going to go to school. And then I got cut from that team. But during that summer, this coach, Maynard Howe, he was playing senior league with us. That's all I ever skated was senior league. And he went and beat me up. Like we got in a fight, not bad, but we got in a fight. And then I go and try out, and he's the coach of the team. So that didn't work out too good.
I sure hope all these coaches that cut you were listening to your speech last week. I'll tell you that.
No, crazy enough, Maynard Howe is actually giving himself credit for cutting me, for me making it. That's his mind. So
he motivated you, Chelly. Don't you love that? He motivated you.
Yeah, well, everything happens for a reason. So thank God he did cut me.
It's a message though you hear so much about when you read. I mean, I read so many inspirational books and the Ryan Halliday books and all these great ways of like battling through adversity. And, when you sit down someone like you, Chelly, who's had, so much success on and off the ice, it's hard to ever think, well, this person went through adversity at some point. And it's just a fallacy to even think that because it's not true. But, you hear the stories of Michael Jordan getting cut from his high school basketball team. But when you were going through those moments throughout your career and even to a sense retirement as well, because that you face a lot of adversity going through retirement, leaving the game behind as well. How did you get through those moments? Like, what would you lean on the most to try and get through them?
Honestly, Catherine, it sounds dumb, but I never had any expectations to play pro hockey. I was small, I was undersized on my team, in class. So if you talk about like the first move to Australia, I thought hockey was over there, but at that point I was too young, 8, 9 years old. Didn't matter. Then the move to San Diego hurt because that's when it was in the twilight, 15, 16, won a championship with Mount Carmel, won a state championship with my St. Jude Knight team. So that was really disappointing when I felt like, that's it. I'm in San Diego now playing in senior leagues. But then I slowly, start surfing and finding other interests. And, one thing my parents always said, they wanted me to go to college. So that was my direction. I was going to go to college, get a degree and, figure out what I wanted to do. And then, the next year when I got cut in Canada, again, I didn't think I was going to make it. I was still very small. But when I got a Moose Jaw and after the first year I grew an inch and a half, and then I figured out how it worked, how you got drafted out of junior and then you could go on to college and get a scholarship. And then that was the path to the NHL, or at least college in the Olympics. So I really had no idea as a kid, that there was 7 Americans in the league, in the NHL when I was growing up. So I guess you're saying I didn't face adversity because I had no expectations. So it's not like I was, disappointed, quite honestly.
Do you remember who it was for Wisconsin that would have been watching you in Moose Jaw?
Yeah, Grant Stanbrook. And it was the craziest, he was watching the game. They called him the Shadow because he never wanted to be around other scouts or, he just did his thing and left the rink. And So I'd left the game and he had missed me somehow in the rink, and he ran out to my car in Moose Jaw. It's probably the only colder place in Chicago. He stood outside with me for 15, 20 minutes. I'm freezing my ass off. I said, look, just get in the car. Let's go have a drink somewhere and we'll talk. So I went on the recruiting trip. My plans were to go to North Dakota, but they signed James Patrick, and I just figured I hated him because he played against me in PA and Prince Albert. So I hated him so much after losing to him. I said, there's no way I'm playing the same team as this kid. So I signed with Wisconsin. And, of course, Patrick beat me the first year they won the NCAAs. Then the second year I finally beat him, and we won the NCAAs.
What a great story that is.
Yeah.
Two great schools, and hats off to the Stanbrooks are they are synonymous with hockey and really are great. And
Grant's kids are teaching hockey, and they just have that knack of being able to, fix a guy's stride or anything. Grant, he was teaching lacrosse goalies. There's nothing his father couldn't do, Grant Stanbrook. I wish he could have been there.
Mm.
I got one more hockey related one for you, Chelly, because I when I started my broadcast career, you just got traded to the Hawks for Savvy. I came back from Alabama. I had my knee surgery. I retired, and so I got to watch your 9 years as a broadcaster, and I sat a lot in the organ loft. And one of the things when I started my broadcasting, John Davidson would say, "Get me a couple of nuggets here, big boy," and this is how you go in the locker room and you find something good. So a girl named Lisa Seltzer was the producer and director. Actually, she should be a Hall of Famer, that girl, man. She is unbelievable. And so she said to me, she goes, just take a notepad and make sure you get something. So I'm in the locker room with you, Chelly. You're using a black Sherwood PMP, I believe.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the blade and I'm looking at it, and you say something to me that just resonated. You're like, it's Guy Lafleur's pattern.
Yeah.
Oh, I put that in my note. I'm telling you what, I got the little notepad right there. And John Davidson meets up with me. I said, JD, I might have something for you. And Lisa Seltzer said, if you say something good that's a good nugget, he's going to pull out this yellow piece of paper and he's going to start writing it down. And I gave that to him. And that's how he brought me under his wing and helped me with my broadcasting, because he was my hero for that. But so going back to taking away from that story about the broadcasting, did you always use that stick? And why did you love Guy Lafleur's stick when it didn't have much of a curve to it?
Honestly, Panger, like the minute I got to Montreal, I heard of Larry Robinson, I've heard of Bob Gainey, but Guy Lafleur was the man, he just, to me, and I just remember him as a kid watching him and the way he skated, his hair, and I just, anything he did, like I told you the story in my speech about Jordan, the minute I got there, I went from Titan to Sherwood. I signed with Sherwood because Guy signed with Sherwood. Now, I did his stick originally and the curve and everything, but eventually I had to straighten it a little bit. As a defenseman, I didn't want that little hook on the end of it. And that's the only adjustment I made. But I did things like I would walk in there at 3 p.m. Flower would be at the games doing his fan mail in full equipment. And, at 3 doing all his fan mail, smoking cigarettes in the governor's room across the hallway. So I go, God, I want to hang around this guy and just hear the stories. So I started hanging around him. Then he would shave before every game. And I'm going, geez. I said, doesn't that burn your skin when you do that? He goes, I said, so why do you do that? He goes, well, after the games, I'm the first one out of here and the first one to the restaurant or bar. So I go, I'm doing that too. So anything he did, like I said, I had the honor of playing with him for about a year and a half, a playoff, and then another half a year before he got traded. And he was a class act. And then, when on his passing, me and Larry Robinson were really the only two people that he, allowed to go to his house and hang out with him for a few hours. And I'm really grateful I did that, because my last day with Flower was amazing. We had a great day. We had a couple of drinks and just, again, telling stories. And he was just one heck of a teammate. You talk to anybody that played with him or knew him. He was one of a kind. And I shouldn't say one of a kind, because Wayne Gretzky's right up there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for sure. And Wayne learned from Guy Lafleur too, I think, in the 81 Canada Cup. I mean, so you just think of the impressions that the guys ahead of you have made to kind of build and mold so many great players, including yourself.
Yeah, and I've always said that. Like, I breaking in with Montreal with all those guys, including Jean Beliveau and Yvan Cournoyer, who weren't playing, but they were still around, and they were so well respected. And how do you not listen to them? So then, I said going to them was like getting a Harvard degree. My first 4 years there was, I just shut my mouth and I listened to them, won a cup in the second year. And to be around Rocket Richard and Henry Richard, some of the greatest ever, that's really lucky. And I'm a fan. And for me, that was really important. And guys like Larry Robinson, they could have easily been bitter. And, I'm a young kid trying to take his job. And, they couldn't have passed the torch more gracefully. And I'm thankful for it.
Did they reach out to you? Many of them, Chelly? Did many of those guys and teammates? Yeah.
Yeah. And I couldn't, like I said, that you saw how many people they're paying her. I couldn't include Detroit or invite Detroit or Montreal, but I spoke with, Larry Robinson was the first one. Bob Gainey, they contacted me. Chris Nyland. So, Izzy, that worked out perfect for Steve Yzerman. I would love to invite my Detroit players, but the Wings were playing us, and him and Lisa were, nice enough to stop by after the game, and it was great to see everybody.
Yeah, overwhelming amount of everybody. When you think back, I mean, just hearing you tell stories in Montreal and, obviously Detroit and Chicago, I mean, you played for 3 of the original 6 franchises and in tremendous hockey markets. When you look at the NHL today, I mean, could you have ever imagined that hockey would survive in New Jersey, in Florida, in Phoenix, in all these places that it is now? And even you look at California, I know a lot of that is the Gretzky factor, but, thinking back to playing for those original 6 franchises, could you have ever envisioned this?
No. And then you see now where some of these players are coming from. And the one I thought I was a misfit or just a fluke. How Austin Matthews from LA and Phoenix background, one of the greatest American players right now. Yep. It's just unheard of. But, like you said, the expansion of Wayne Gretzky started that. And once their team has success, that the youth hockey flourishes off of that. And it happened in Chicago when the Hawks started winning again. There's just a big resurgence of youth hockey, and you see these other teams, warm weather states, Florida, the Panthers, what they're doing now, and the crowds, and there's kids coming out of Florida now. So it's great, and it's still a tough sell, and you got to win, but it sure come a long way. I never could imagine some of these cities would have been able to support hockey.
What was your favorite city or rink to play in besides, okay, I'm going to take Chicago, Montreal. I don't know which other one that you love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what, Joe Louis, for an older building, when I started playing against them in Montreal, it didn't seem like an older building. I mean, it was a great rink, great ice, but I think still to this day, Madison Square Garden, there's something magical about Madison Square Garden, whether it's a sporting event or a concert. It's just something, the noise. And, they said one time I went to watch Pearl Jam there, and it was one of only 3 times that the bleachers and everything, you could feel them shaking. But the old Boston Garden, the old Toronto Maple Leaf Garden, those were really special buildings. The new buildings, Montreal did a great job of almost duplicating the old Forum. It's got that same feeling. Some of them are, at some times they're a little big, but when they're full and teams competitive, there's as good as any building, that I played in. The Chicago, United Center, when we first moved there, they said it had no atmosphere and this. Then the Bulls gave it atmosphere, and then the Hawks gave it atmosphere. So, but to go back to those old rinks, Boston was amazing. Toronto was amazing, for sure.
Would you rather have a small ice surface or the 200 by 85? You were so great in that Chicago stadium.
Small, easy to track guys down and bury them. I loved it.
The old odd in Buffalo, same thing.
Yeah, whatever, 2 feet, 3 feet, whatever it was, smaller than every rink, you noticed it. But again, that guy the Zamboni guy used to kick the boards out, so the puck, when he was coming around the boards, the puck would kick out in front of the team's net. It was genius.
I love it.
I love that. When you were growing up outside of hockey, what other sports stars did you look up to and kind of idolize or want to be like? I mean, were there any baseball players or football players that you just were awestruck by? Because so many young kids, I just think of you and walking around that city of Chicago, you must be asked all the time by young kids and wanting your autograph and that kind of thing. Who did you look up to?
That's the easy one for childhood heroes. And, aside from hockey, the Bobby Hull guys, Dick Butkus.
Oh yeah, God bless
This
him.
guy, like, he was the epitome of a South Sider. He was big, mean, dirty, and everybody loved him on the South Side. And every kid in my neighborhood, when we played football or get together, it was like kill the guy with the ball or butt-kiss football. So, and then fortunately, I got to meet him probably about 30 years ago. We were at a golf tournament in Chicago, and it just so happened that he was living in Malibu, and I had been renting in Malibu. So we got together, we hit it off, and we've been friends ever since. Of course, the Blackhawks, that was the late 60s, early 70s through the Makita, Magnuson, Esposito. Those were, I loved watching them, but they weren't on TV a whole lot, so didn't get a chance to see them. But I love the Cubs because they had all those big Hall of Fame names like Ron Santo, Billy Williams, Fergie Jenkins. And White Sox, I was a White Sox fan because, I was a South Sider, but they just didn't have the big superstars when I was growing up, and they never really won anything either.
I just real quick, I just love that you said Dick Butkus, because when he passed away in October, I just the outpouring of love from Hall of Fame, for everybody from Hall of Fame football players to those that grew up in Chicago playing other sports. I mean, he really was. I know he was one of my dad's idols too, and just an amazing man. I only met him once, and it was just a special occasion. So I love that you said that. Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw that at the beginning of the speech, Catherine, but it was the most bizarre thing that happened. The morning of the ceremony, I always go to this Red Square, this bathhouse, take a sauna, cold tub, get ready for the day. And there's two guys standing at the front desk when I was ready to check in. One turns around, and I just kind of look at him and I look right in his eyes. The other guy turns around and I go, "You got to be kidding me. You guys are Butkuses." They were his nephews.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Wow.
It was, and I've only met one of them 4 years ago in the bathhouse, and as he was walking towards me in the locker room, he's pigeon-toed, just like Dick. And I just started laughing. I go, "You got to be kidding me!" So they all look at Lithuanian guys, and they got these monster heads on them, and they're just animals. So it was great.
That's amazing. How serendipitous on the day that you were being honored. That's incredible.
Yeah, Dick was sending a message.
Yep.
Sure was.
Sure.
Hey, Chelly, how are you liking making the transition to the broadcasting side?
I don't like being on TV.
Yeah.
I like radio better, and I can't see myself on this now, so it's pretty good. But you know what? I enjoy it, doing it with Kaylee, especially. We have some laughs. The guys at ESPN were, Leaves. I've known them for years, Catherine.
Yep.
I'm sure you guys a big circle, you guys. When Mess got there, it was too good to be true because I never got to play with Mess, and I really always respected him and wanted to hang around Mess. So it was a great experience. Now I'm doing a little bit of TNT, which is great, the part-time. I don't think I have enough patience. I'm not built for sitting. And one game, okay. By the first period of the second game, I'm feeling like I played the game. And all of a sudden, I hit the wall. I'm not built for sitting. So, and I tried to do the Red Bull thing. I tried to do these energy drinks, but it doesn't help me. But maybe it's repetition. I know that, but I just don't think I'm built for sitting down.
That's interesting because that second game does take a lot of energy though, Chelly. And you know me, I'm full of piss and vinegar, and I can. Catherine's worked late nights with me as well.
Oh my God!
Man, it's not for everybody. And besides that, getting in a studio, you have to even be louder than normal just to carry.
Yeah, to manufacture the energy.
I think you do a great job, Chelly. I really enjoy when you're on there, when Gretz is on there. Like the game needs the greatest players that have ever played. Like, somehow I've managed to do this business for 35 years. I think this was my first win of 27. We need guys like you guys. You guys are authentic. You guys, you carry a lot of weight. So I'm glad you're still part of it, bud.
And I love the guys now. Biz carries me. He's like, he's a distraction for my brain. And when you get to the playoffs, so honestly, it's almost like you're playing the last couple of years playoffs for whatever reason, the physicality and the competitiveness and stuff, you can say what you want about, the game's changing but when it's playoffs, it's the big boys, and it's awesome to watch them play the way they do.
Love it.
And how impressed have you been, speaking of big boys, with Connor Bedard?
Unbelievable. He did not disappoint. The way he carries himself in his interviews, the the players have already, they can't talk enough about what a great kid he is. And he's so well liked throughout the team. And that's first and most important for me is the way his teammates, accept him. So I've talked to him on occasion. He's a very serious kid, focused kid. He's opening up a little more, it seems like, in his interviews. He's got kind of a keen, dry sense of humor, but his skill level is something else. I still think he's going to grow, quite honestly, and I'm talking taller, not just stronger. He just turned 18, and I told you earlier that I grew about 1.5 inches, from 18 to 19, 20. So I hope he gets a little more size because it's going to help him down the stretch here, when they become competitive and they start becoming a playoff team, because right now you kind of get a hall pass a little bit because what's going on. But, look at Kaner. I felt the same about Kaner when he started, too light, too small, but he filled out. And with that skill level, what a player he turned out to be. So this Connor's been great to watch. There's nothing, the things he comes up with on the ice, he's special.
Yeah, I just love the spark he's brought back to that team. You mentioned maybe not the results there just yet; they will be, but man, he's brought so much fire to that team and to that city again. So I always love seeing people always used to ask me, "Are you a Chicago Blackhawks fan?" I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of am." I don't have a cheering interest, but I love the Hawks. I always loved my time there at the United Center, and obviously they won a lot of championships while I was broadcasting over there at the NHL Network. So, Chelly, we know it's been a busy week. We know you've probably got grandpa duties right now when we hang up with you with little Sophia and all the other little ones running around there at Kaylee's house. So again, congrats to Kaylee and Danny on the new baby, and congrats to you. Just well-deserved honor Sunday night, raising that 7 to the rafters. And hopefully we'll catch up with you again down the road sometime.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. Enjoyed talking to you guys. It was great.
Thanks, Chelly.
Thanks, Chelly.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chelly. Congrats again, pal. Thanks.
Awesome. Wow, what a week he's had, huh? Pinch me moments every single day. It seems like just amazing. We were down in I was down in Florida broadcasting the match on Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
So on Sunday
Great
night,
job, by the way.
Great job.
It was fun. But on Sunday night, we were all gathering at this little reception we had, and we had the Hawks game up on the bar there. And I was standing with Charles Barkley and Trevor Immelman and Ernie Johnson, the greats there that do the NBA on TNT. And we were just in awe watching the whole banner raising ceremony. I had to rewatch it again because of course I couldn't hear it all when I was standing there. But just to be standing there with those guys and watching what I was watching, and Penger, you were there. I mean, it just must have been absolutely electric.
It is hard to explain, and I've been fortunate enough to be on the ice as a broadcaster for. I'm not sure if I can even count how many, but I remember flying in when Denny Savard jersey got retired, and I remember how special that was. Just sitting in the stands, just like a fan, and kind of cheering him on. And then I had the privilege of emceeing Steve Yzerman's at Joe Louis, which was an unbelievable honor from the Ilitch family to pick someone that's not part of their broadcast to do that. But this was not different from from other ones that I've seen, but I knew it was going to be a rock show. I knew it was going to be a 90s theme, and I knew Danny Wirtz and Jamie Faulkner and the Blackhawks were going to knock it out of the park. And so when he came out on the ice in that 1962 Cadillac, and then when I ended the night in the atrium watching Eddie Vedder and John McEnroe on the guitar for at least an hour and a half. John McEnroe on the guitar on stage. I'm not sure if half the people even knew that was John McEnroe. And I'm looking, and the lefty's down there, and he's just strumming away on the guitar. And then seeing his mom, Susan Chelios, dancing. I mean, giving it at 90 years of age with Kaylee about to give birth. I just said, this is just the most unique ceremony that I've ever been a part of. And
he's got some strong women around him too, huh? Between his daughter and his mom and his wife. Amazing.
And sure enough, I turn around and there's Jeff Blashill and John Cooper, who had an afternoon game in Jersey. Well, they flew in because their next day was off, so they wanted to be part of the party as well. I mean, it just never ended. So
it's amazing,
really, really great. Yeah, but anyway, Chelly knocked it out of the park. It was emotional. The game then is the game, And I just remember I looked at Patrick Kane a couple of times, and he had this look on his face. And after the second time he went for a lap, Alex DeBrincat, the cat, goes, one more, and he goes for one more twirl. I think he could have gone for two more twirls of the ice and got two more standing ovations. But so it was something. What a way to cap off an unbelievable, and it was a good game too. The Hawks really played hard. They're not going to the playoffs. They're going to get the first, second, or third pick in the draft, but they played hard and they gave Detroit everything they had.
Love it.
I'll tell you what, when Keener was on the ice in overtime, you just knew that the script was going to be completed. I wish I was at a sports book where I could have live bet Patrick Kane in overtime. You knew he was scoring.
Well, I tell you what, he was in the far corner because I'm between the benches. He's in the far corner in his own zone. He fell down, or in the offensive zone, excuse me. Offensive zone, fell down, and I'm looking, thinking, okay, he's heading off the ice. So that takes care of that moment. Because Bedard just missed on a breakaway or a semi-breakaway. And then I look at Kaner and I'm like all great players, he's not leaving the ice. He's looking for something else, the same way Gretz did and Holly did and, all the greatest that's ever played the game. And boom, there he is on a breakaway. And once he had the puck, thanks for coming. It was something else.
What a night. What a way to cap off a great night. If it's one player that's going to score that's not for Chicago, it's Patrick Kane. Unbelievable. Really great. Well, it was great. We thank Chris Chelios for joining us on a really rewarding week for him. And guys, we've got some business to take care of because I am wearing the brand new official Johnnie-O's women's line. Look at this. I would show you my legs, but I can't get my leg up that high. It's
are you the first model of it?
Well, on the Back to You show I am. But yes, guys, this is March 1st, the launch of the Johnnie-O's women's line. They sent me some amazing items. This is a jumpsuit. It's cream colored. It's super soft. I wore it yesterday out shopping and I got so many compliments, and other women that were asking where I got it from. They sent me a beautiful, I'll have it on my Instagram, but a beautiful tote bag, a little summer clutch that's straw, some great, nice, clean white t-shirts and white Oxford shirts, just really great quality. And I have to say, I don't endorse anything, it's gotta be made for KT, and it felt great. So, you can go online and get the brand new women's line or the wonderful men's line that you guys have been talking about forever. But this is March 1st. It just came out today as we're filming this podcast, Johnnie-O.com. And of course, we are going to give you a discount. You can use the Back to You March code. That's back, the number 2, You March, all one word is the code, and Johnnie-O's will give you a discount as you purchase your brand new women's line. I'm super excited. They also have more items they're going to be rolling out in the next few months for tennis and paddle and golf, and it's just the start of an amazing thing. As you guys know, it's the most comfortable gear you're ever going to put on. It's great for traveling. It looks good. It feels good. You don't look like I don't look like I'm leaving the house in sweatpants. It's a beautiful athleisure outfit that works well. So I'm super excited. Nice.
That's really great. And I think it's overdue too. Oh, let me see. Yeah, nice.
I'm trying to. I can't figure out where the camera is, but it's like
that's
this
great.
Nice waffle feeling.
Nice.
No, they do such a great
Johnnie-O.
Great job.
Yeah, congrats to Johnnie-O. We're super excited. They've been more than kind to us, so we appreciate the love. You guys are wearing your Back to You Johnnie-O logoed
always
shirts, which is awesome. I can see yours over there, Panger. So very cool. We appreciate the love from Johnnie-O's and the partnership. And exactly.
And also, I'd like to give a shout out too, because Johnnie-O, not only do they launch the women's line today, like you said, KT, but with spring break coming up, you've got MLB spring training. They've got the MLB line. They've got St. Patty's Day right around the corner, being Irish. They got some great stuff for you to go online too. So again, Johnnie-O.com.
I like that affiliation
with weekend. Bones is carrying the bag for Justin Thomas. He'll be wearing his Johnnie-O's. He's a Johnnie-O supporter and ambassador there. And he's always wearing his Johnnie-O's. When you watch The Cognizant this week, keep an eye on Bones.
Bones, I think we're going to get Bones on the show. Huh?
Yeah, I got the text out. We'll see. He's got a busy. Of course, we're asking him right when golf season kicks into high gear and the majors are right around the corner. But yes, we're gonna do our best to get good old Bones on here. I love Bones. He's talk about a storyteller, man. Does he have good stories? But just an energetic guy, one of the best humans to be around. He's really wonderful. So yeah, we'll put those feelers out there. So,
Niner, did you ever see him in Arizona?
Yeah, I do actually. I've actually been on quite a few flights with him going back to Phoenix as well.
Okay.
But he was one of the very first guys that I met when I moved to Phoenix, as a matter of fact.
Oh, wow.
Because he and
October
Phil were
2004.
a big part of the Whisper Rock, obviously, and that's
Sure.
saw him around a little bit in the early days. But yeah, that'd be great. Could you guys caddy? Would you be able to? I caddied for a U.S. Junior Am with my nephew Jake Bryson. Man, it was hard. I don't know how Bones and these guys do it and keep up.
I enjoy it.
The attention, the energy, 4 rounds.
And my mom in the club championship, but I ended up having to work, so I couldn't. I flew in and I ended up meeting her on the 4th or 5th hole. And by the time my flight landed on the final day, but she's caddied for me before, and talk about a hard job. I'm not very nice on some holes.
KT, by the way, on another note, your Instagram post with MIURA and
did you like it?
It was unbelievable. You really did a great job. You got to teach me a little bit more about that. But number one, the sound of the ball. I think you've got the 400s, right? The player improvement, the PIs. I know you were testing a bunch of different irons, but the sound of the ball was pure. Just sounded great.
Nice swing, KT.
Thank you. The swing's never been the problem. It's what's between the ears, as I told you guys. That's the problem.
Hey, I've had the chance of caddying quite a bit on those celebrity tours, and I've had to deal with a lot of that between the ear stuff, but we'll dial you in.
They're the PI 401s, Pang, or the ones I got are the 401s.
That's what I thought. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
They're great. And Niner, which ones do you have?
The snow just melted where I live, so I'm excited to get them out there and start hitting some balls. Course opens next week, guys.
There you go. I just played my 3rd round with my CB 302s. I got the all black shaft, the black. Oh my God, they're beautiful looking. I love them. Very forgiving too.
We're very grateful to MIURA and the generosity they've shown as well. And then we're going to get those clubs out on the course and give them a test drive in a little bit. And I'll circle back with you guys and let you know. I'm going to be playing all the charity events this year with those MIURAs. So you'll see them out there on the course in Tahoe, and I'll be out in Cabo for a charity event. So just doing
need a caddy?
Yeah, I know.
Good Lord. I'll go to Cabo.
I don't know.
I know. Mom's got the bag. You're good.
And KT, just on another note, as we take care of some inventory here, new platforms for us.
Yes, we do. We are very excited and grateful that Believe, that's BLEAV, is our new teammate, our new partnership. Very excited. We're going to get this Back to You podcast on so many different platforms now, audio, video. They're just great supporters of ours, and we're excited for this. So we will be on more devices and phones and cars and AirPods and you name it in the next now.
Yep. So please, when you get on there on any one of the audio platforms, just rate, review the show, and hopefully give us some love in here. We've started this 16 episodes ago to have some fun, build some camaraderie, and we knew that in time we'd create more partnerships, and that's where we're heading. So glad everybody have checked in with us, and what a great day to celebrate Chelly, Hall of Famer. Most games played of anybody in the history of the National Hockey League from a U.S. standpoint. But I don't care about the U.S., Canada, North American. He's just one of the greatest players of all time. He's top 100 in their 100th anniversary. And he's, for me, and I'm going to just end this on this, because he said that Patrick Kane will end up being the greatest American player of all time. And I disagree. Because I believe that Chris Chelios is the greatest American player of all time. And I believe that through a lot of things like adversity, the story to get to where he was at, and then the major awards, 3 Norris trophies, a Messier trophy, a plus-minus award trophy, the Stanley Cups, the Hall of Fame. So anyway, I've got him as my number one of all time. So we really appreciate Chelly coming on.
We certainly do. And on that note, thank you all for listening. You can find us on all audio platforms. Be sure to rate us and review the show. And we look forward to hearing your comments, as always. So until next time, thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thanks, gang. Have a great day.
Well, gang, on this show, we like to showcase an event or a story which caught our attention as relates to an achievement, featuring hard work and dedication of one's craft. That's exactly what Back to You is all about. This is powered by MIURA Golf. And when you think of MIURA Golf, you think of Katsuhiro MIURA, the founder of MIURA Golf, and he's mastered the art of steel. Take a look at this. That's hand forged, baby, right there. That's what this is all about. Every forged club is handcrafted at the factory in Himeji, Japan, where MIURA's meticulous process and attention to detail highlight the family's unwavering pursuit of perfection. And if that isn't back to you, I don't know what is.